A good horror film does more than just scare you. It lingers under the skin and sticks in your mind for years to come, haunting you the way A Serbian Film haunted me. Now, arguably the most important part of a horror film is its ending, whether through a twist, the reveal of a monster, or the defeat of the main foe. However, some horrors fall flat in their final moments, completely destroying the story carved out leading up to that point. So today on Top 5 Scary Videos, I'm going to be counting down our list of the top 5 worst horror movie endings. Before we begin, be sure to stick around until the end of the video where I'll be responding to some of your comments. And with that, let's jump in. Coming in at 5, The Boy 2016.
Wouldn't hurt me, would you, Bronze?
It's not safe in his house.
This 2016 horror starring The Walking Dead's Lauren Cohen followed an American nanny who was shocked to learn that the boy she is paid to babysit is actually a life-sized doll. Yeah, spooky. After she violates a list of strict rules she must follow, some truly disturbing events begin to unfold around her, making her believe that the doll is really alive. Now, there is something inherently terrifying about dolls, from Annabelle to Chucky to the ventriloquist doll from the Goosebumps. Dolls have proven that they cannot be trusted. Enter the boy. I had high hopes, I truly did, and I can't lie, it did start well. There's something truly unsettling about watching Lauren Cohen's character Greta care for a doll as though it's a living boy. It's bizarre. Not only that, but the doll bears some resemblance to Brahms, a young boy who perished in the house some years back. The film quickly falls apart when we reach the final few moments of the movie, thanks to a poorly conceived twist that left most viewers shaking their heads. We learn that Brahms has been alive the entire time, shocker, and has been hiding in the walls, slowly driving his parents crazy. Essentially, Greta has to fend off a guy that won't leave the walls and her abusive boyfriend who tracks her down. It's truly disappointing, and honestly I just feel bad for Lauren Cohen. I mean, Greta. Coming in at 4, The Happening 2008.
Jesus. Oh no.
I couldn't not put this film on our list, it's my duty, this is why I'm here. Directed by M. Night Shyamalan, who had clearly lost his mind when he made this movie, The Happening was released back in 2008 and followed a science teacher played by Marky Mark, his wife played by New Girl, and a young girl who struggled to survive a plague that causes those infected to commit suicide. And no, try not to confuse this film with The Bird Box, a superior film that had major Lovecraftian vibes. Now that one you should definitely watch, this one not so much. Anyway, The Happening was terrible from the off. We begin by questioning what caused the sudden disappearance of bees. Nature is clearly doing some bizarre things, and then enter the suicide, with the strange behavior spreading like wildfire throughout New York City. Now, The Happening is a film that can be left up to viewers' interpretation, and depending on how you view it, it may be great, but for me it fell flat and it fell hard. What is suggested is that the event in The Happening occurred because plants evolved too quickly, resulting in them releasing a toxin that caused increased paranoia, and thus leading to suicide. Now, whether intentionally or not, the ending of The Happening ends with nothing happening at all, really. Marky Mark and the new girl emerge from hiding to confront the ambiguous happening, only to find that it's no longer happening. Yeah, that's the end, and then they live happily ever after. The end.
I hear you whispering. Planning on stealing something?
No, ma'am, we're not.
Plan on murdering me in my sleep?
What? No.
Coming in at 3, The Descent, the US ending, 2005.
Please! Is there anybody there?
Now, don't get me wrong, The Descent is a truly great movie and perhaps one of my favourite horrors of all time. However, the only version worth watching is the UK version, aka the original version, because the US version switched up the ending and in doing so destroyed the entire film. Facts. Released back in 2005 and directed by Neil Marshall, this British horror follows a caving expedition that goes horribly wrong when the explorers become trapped and pursued by a strange breed of predators. From the off, The Descent is terrifying. Quite honestly, there is no setting more ideal for a horror film than a cave. It's dark, wet, and claustrophobic, making it scary enough before we're even introduced to the monsters lurking within the dark. When the cave collapses, trapping the expedition within, forcing them to squeeze through its never-ending tunnels, the thought that there could be creatures characters is almost an afterthought. The film successfully maintains a level of intensity and suspense throughout, a feat that most horror films fail to do. When our leading lady emerges from the cave covered in mud and blood, we notice the shift from civilization to savagery. Now, this is where we are introduced to our two endings. When our leading lady Sarah emerges from the cave, crawling out and making her way back to the car, she pulls over and vomits before leaning back and noticing the ghost of one of her fellow cavers in the back. Now, in the UK version, this is where Sarah wakes up, realizing she is still trapped inside the cave with the monsters lurking within, as the creatures can be heard increasing in strength as they close in on her. The credits then roll. Terrifying, right? However, the ending was deemed too dark for US audiences, so they decided to switch it up, and instead ended the film with Sarah sat in the car after seeing the ghostly figure of her friend. Yeah, underwhelming, I know. It's shit. Coming in at 2, High Tension 2003. Released back in 2003, this French horror follows best friends Marie and Alexia, who decide to spend a quiet weekend at Alexia's parents' secluded farmhouse. But on the night of their arrival, the girls' idyllic getaway turns into an endless night of horror. And I mean endless. Now, there's something about French horror that truly terrifies me. It's almost traumatizing. I don't know whether it's the bleakness, the realness, or just the refusal to be uplifting in any way, but it's emotionally scarring, and this is one of those examples. However, it definitely pulls up short. High Tension made waves both here and in Europe, and honestly, it's deserved for the most part. The movie successfully builds the tension and suspense as the two main characters attempt to outrun a serial killer who's chasing them down. The inventive use of gore is a real winner and perhaps one of the best elements in the movie. Spoilers incoming though. We learn towards the final moments of the movie that the person chasing Marie and Alexia is no stranger, not even a man. It's actually Marie herself. Well, an alternate personality she's invented to cope with her homicidal tendencies. So you might be thinking, how on earth does that work? Well, let me tell you, it doesn't. The film somehow allows her to be in two places at once. Yeah, and they expect us to believe that. The twist is a cop-out and ruins a truly effective movie up until that point. Now, I will say that it certainly shocked viewers and me when I first saw it, but on second watch it feels like the film is one giant waste of time, sadly. And finally, coming in at number 1, Orphan 2009.
I don't think Mommy likes me very much.
What? No.
Released back in 2009 and starring Vera Farmiga and Peter Sarsgaard, this horror follows a husband and wife who recently lost their baby and decide to adopt a 9-year-old girl who is not nearly as innocent as she claims to be. Shocker. Now, whether they're being terrorized or the ones doing the terrorizing, kids always add extra fear to a horror movie. It's just facts. When the family adopt Esther, a young Russian child, it becomes apparent very quickly that she has a very dark, insidious side to her, with the mother becoming increasingly suspicious as the story progresses. She attempts to uncover the child's past and secrets, and why bad things seems to happen whenever Esther's around. Now, of course there's a reason, but it's not what you would expect. It's actually completely ridiculous. Now, spoilers ahead, so proceed with caution. It turns out Esther isn't a child at all. She's actually an incredibly short, murderous woman who has just spent the majority of her life posing as a child so she can be adopted and continue to kill. Weirder still, she attempts to sleep with her adoptive father, which definitely makes the film horrifically cringy. It also makes you question each character and why they never thought to do background checks before bringing home a child. Just saying. Well, there we have it. Do you guys agree with our list? Were there any bad horror movie endings that we missed? Leave us all your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below and perhaps we can do a part 2. Before I go though, I just want to respond to a few comments from one of our last videos. Top 5 Norwegian Urban Legends. Joseph Whitaker said, "She's neither good nor evil and cannot be trusted," as Lucy described herself. Yeah, that sums me up pretty damn well. I'm neither good nor evil. I simply am. Tony Vanderhayden said, "Thanks for the mythology lesson, Lucy." You are very welcome. Tank Callie said, "Another great video. I thank thee, Pale Queen Lucy, for always having great enthralling videos." Well, shucks, thank you kindly. Luna Foxfire said, "Oh Lucy, great queen of scary, want to do some troll hunting?" Always. Joseph Skills said, "I've asked this a couple of times before. Anyone know what that tat is on her inner arm?" Well, Joseph, I've answered this a couple times before, but I'll tell you again just for you. It's a mountain range in Banff. There you go. Happy? And on that note, if you haven't already, be sure to give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another scary vid. And until next time, see you later.